concludes our speaking portion of the meeting. And now on to my personal favorite part of the meeting, table topics. Now, table topics is on-spot speaking. Everyone will be speaking from 1 minute at minimum to 2 minutes. And today, Grace Borsetti is our table topics master. Without further ado, introduce Grace.
Today is March 20th, which marks the first day of spring, so I thought it would be appropriate to make the theme about spring. It's one of my most favorite holidays, and if any of you are fans of classical music, Vivaldi's Der Frühling, which means spring in German, one of my favorites. So, as just explained, you'll have 1 to 2 minutes to answer. These questions are designed to be super general, so anyone can answer them. And my first question is, okay, so we have Easter coming up, and it takes place on the first Sunday after the first full moon after spring begins. So my question to you is, if you were to make your own holiday to be held during spring, what would it be called, and what would it celebrate? So, I'm going to call up Jessica to answer this question.
I had to put on my jacket because I was cold, because we all know that in Georgia there's never really spring. There's always at least one day of random cold rain that comes and hit your natural hair and you have to redo it over again. So we're going to celebrate that day. It's called Reverse Groundhog's Day. You're probably wondering, why would we name this day Reverse Groundhog's Day? Well, it makes sense. A groundhog, maybe it saw its shadow, maybe it didn't, but who really cares, because Georgia weather does what it wants to do anyway. So that's why we call it Reverse Groundhog's Day, because it doesn't really matter what the groundhog does, it's still going to be unpredictable in the state of Georgia when you come down to the spring. So why should we celebrate Reverse Groundhog's Day? See, this is the interesting thing about it. Even though it's a holiday, we don't know when we'll celebrate it. So it's just kind of like, hey, when's Reverse Groundhog's Day? We have to wait before it gets cold. And it's possible that it could possibly not be cold in the springtime, therefore being cold in the summertime. So we could end up celebrating Reverse Groundhog's Day in the summer. Now, isn't that funny? So let's go back to why this day is so important. You see, we can't just let go of the winter that easily, because it never really happened this year. I mean, we had like a few days of cold weather, and then it was like really hot in February. And so the reason why we're celebrating this day is to give Mother Nature time to readjust, because without the coldness, you don't have like the collard green plants that grow because it needs the cold weather. So that's why we're celebrating, as an opportunity to recognize Mother Nature and say, hey, I know you're kind of disorganized and how you're doing things, but that's okay. We'll give you this day to recognize that you some kind of way know what you're doing. Woo! Reverse Groundhog's Day.
Alright, that's awesome. Okay, now, since the weather is finally warming up, not permanently, as Jessica explained, but it's getting there, we can finally enjoy the outdoors without having a jacket or without having to shiver or being uncomfortable. So my question to you is, what are you most looking forward to now that it's warming up outside, and why? Enrique.
Good.
So spring, right? The sun is finally shining. It's warmer, right? You can maybe take off a few clothes, a few pieces of clothing, you know? And I would recommend volleyball. Right now, I'm gonna actually, fun fact, I'm gonna be joining an IM volleyball team, and I'm gonna be playing in the IM league. We're gonna be terrible, but I'm gonna have fun doing it. And it's gonna be indoors, but you can still definitely play volleyballs outdoors, right? And it's gonna be a lot of fun. I definitely recommend it because it includes a lot of movement. You're in the sun, you can get a little bit of a tan if you so prefer. You can get to play with friends. You can get to meet new people because of it. On Friday, I met a whole new ton of people because we were playing volleyball at Ramsey. And I would say that in addition to volleyball, you could also play, let's see, you got soccer, you got basketball. You can do a whole lot of things, right? You can go sailing, you can go fishing. Basically, spring is the time to do things you couldn't do before, right? That's a pretty good assumption, I would say, a pretty good conclusion. And yeah, like I said before, you know, you can do whatever you want. You can do sports. You can maybe start writing if you have that inclination. Basically, I would say spring is a time is the seasonal renaissance. That's how I would describe it. Thank you.
Thank you, Jiten. Okay, so we are about halfway through our spring semester now, and we actually only have 46 days until our last final exam, which is scary. And when final exams roll around for the springtime, it will undoubtedly be extremely stressful. And to cope with that stress, I personally like studying outside. So I want to know what your hardest exam will be at the end of the semester, and how you intend on studying for that or coping with that stress. So, Jeremiah, would you like to come up here?
So no doubt, the test I'll be most worried about is my international legal transactions test. Now, it's not just because of the name or because material is hard, but the biggest fear I have is the final, because on this past test, I got a 68%. Now, if you don't know me, that's actually a huge outlier. I usually get very good grades. But when I went to go to class on Monday, I was like, I might go to class. Maybe I will. You know, the test is on Friday, maybe I'll just skip class and study for the test. So I walk in, I'm sitting down, and the teacher says, okay, put away all your technology and devices because putting the test out right now. I was like, oh no, what am I gonna do? I had not studied for this test at all, right? Oh. So I take the test, get a 68, and now, if I don't do good on that final, you know, I might lower my GPA quite a bit. So that is the one I'm most worried about. Thank you.
Okay. And way back when I was a little child, I remember my most favorite memories in spring were when it rained in April, and I was so excited to go outside and play in the puddles with my neighbors, because what else are you gonna do in New Jersey? So my question to you is, what is one memory that you have of spring, and why is it either your favorite memory or your least favorite memory? If you could just tell us a little bit about that. Great, your name was Emron?
Yeah.
Want to go up here? Woo!
Sure.
I am Varghese. It sounds like most people have like speeches prepared. I don't know. Is that true? That's really impressive, actually. So my worst, well, there's one memory that really stands out with spring. Now, usually I don't really like pay attention to the seasons, but when I first moved to Georgia, I came from Virginia, and like we have a spring, and it's nice, and we have like kind of like evergreen forest, so you know, like temperature is pretty nice. It's pretty consistent for the most part. And I came here as a freshman, like I saw all this pollen, you know, like everything was green, and I'd never seen that before in my life. And it was like yellow, green. The cars that were like white, oh my god, those are like pretty bad, honestly. And you know, I was like coughing and sneezing a lot, and I was like, man, I must be sick as shit. Like, I honestly, I've never been that sick before. Like, you guys don't know me, but I have a very strong immune system. I'm from Iran, you know, I lived in Pakistan, lived in Dubai, you know, and it was pretty, you know, rough environment, kind of dirty. So we came here, and I just got really sick, and I had no clue why. And then I saw everybody else was sick, so it turns out that you know, apparently it's just like a normal thing that you guys do, and yeah. Yeah, that's why Georgia sucks. Thank you.
Okay, that's awesome, thank you. Okay, so spring break just passed, and for spring break, I went to Hilton Head with some of my friends, moving on the beach and everything else. But oddly enough, I didn't think it was super fun because I What I'd like to know is what your dream spring break would be, where it would be, and what you would do. Kind of just a little bit about that. In the gray, was it Lola? Do you want to come up here?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, I've never really given much thought to my dream spring break, but I feel like I would want to go to a city like New York and just take time and explore the corners and eat the local food and immerse myself in the culture, go shopping at Times Square, and listen to musicians or something artsy like that. I don't know. Read a book on a balcony on a good day, watch the city, do city things, admire the lights at night. Yes, that would be it.
Okay. So, also for spring break, when I was in 8th grade, one of my craziest stories for spring break was that my friends and I went to Hollywood for our spring break and just happened to go at the same time there was the red carpet premiere of The Avengers, which was super cool because we got to see all of those awesome celebrities, and it was just really interesting to see. So I want to know if there's someone in here who has an absolutely crazy spring break story that they want to tell. Anyone want to offer? Want to come up here?
Sorry, guys. Chick-fil-A is my mistress. So, my buddy and I, back from ABAC. ABAC is a school down in South Georgia, which is an agricultural school. Excuse me. And so they have a lot of country boys, real country boys, like play with cows all day country boys. And you know, I thought I was country having the truck, you know, with the mud tires and stuff going down there. No, that's one other thing. Anyway, we went to PCB with me and a couple of his friends, and boy did it got crazy. Let's see, I climbed on the outside of the balcony, not the most, you know, smart thing I've ever done, but was alcohol related, so. Which doesn't make me feel any better. And then we went down the strip at PCB. I don't know if anybody here has been to PCB, but back in the day, I don't know about now because they have laws for partiers and whatnot. But this was the year before they instilled those, and it was wild. There were, I think, 1 murder, 2 stabbings, and a fight in front of an outlet mall. I mean, it was just wild, you know. And there was just drugs everywhere, you know, people just doing drugs out in the street. It was wild. But yeah, that's PCB for you. Say no to drugs, kids.
Are we in good time? Okay, then that was the last question, and that's the end of our team topics. Thank you.
And now, timer, were all of our speakers in time?
Yes.
Awesome. And now, I'd like everyone to vote on the bottom of your ballots for who was the best team topics. I have a list of 6 people. When Imran said Holland, that was like a trigger word for me. Oh my gosh.
I didn't even know it existed.
Now you know.
All right. So that concludes our table topics portion of the meeting. pretty entertaining, triggering. And now on to probably the most important part of the meeting, evaluations. Evaluations is how we learn to become better speakers by having people tell us what we did well on and what we did poor on. Now for our general evaluator, Zack, Varghese, to come up to the stage and introduce all the evaluations, the team, and also how it will take place. Thank you.
So this evaluation portion, like Tav said, and this, in my opinion, is the best section, because this is where we learn how to be better speakers, and that's the only reason why we're here. So to evaluate the first speaker, which was George Dozal, will be Alex Rosenberg. Invite him to the stage.